WBA welterweight champion Keith Thurman was allegedly gambling in the casinos prior to his major clash with Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Pacquiao bruises Thurman for 12 rounds to score a split decision. Tap in.
All right, I'm ready. They know when I was down, now they see I bounce back. Now they all in their feelings. My partner told me, King, don't worry about that. Said it's time to make a killing. It's a new day, getting new money, but I don't with new. I'm just sticking to the business and the money is the mission, about to stack it to the ceiling. Now they all in their feelings. So you mad, bro? Now they all in their feelings. Tell me got them all in their feelings. All in their feelings. So you mad? Now they all in their feelings. Tell me got them all in their feelings. All in their feelings. It's a new day. They all in their feelings. Money, but I got them all in their feelings. All in their feelings. Now they all in their feelings.
King Boxing Talk in the building. And man, that's all I can say is man. You know, this fight is, I've been anticipating this fight, the build up of it. And I really think that this fight lived up to expectations when it comes down to the action. I think this was a good action-packed fight that fight fans should be satisfied and happy with. And if you go back and look at listen to my prediction video, you will see in my prediction video, I predicted that one of the judges would score for Manny Pacquiao. Another judge would score for Keith Thurman. And the third judge would score for Manny Pacquiao, giving Manny Pacquiao a split decision. I called that. That's exactly how it went down, man. And it's crazy. And after watching the fight, even though I called it a split decision, after watching the fight, I really feel like this should have been a unanimous decision. I'll break that down later. I think it should have been a unanimous decision, but however, Manny Pacquiao got the split decision as I predicted. So salute to him. Very exciting for the welterweight division, especially with this WBA. With Manny Pacquiao being the WBA regular, Keith Thurman being the WBA super. Now those come together and finally brings, a little bit more clarity to the division. Now we have 4 champions with four different sanctioning bodies. You have Manny Pacquiao, now the WBA, Terrence Crawford, the WBO. You have Errol Spence, the IBF, and Sean Porter, the WBC. Those two guys, Errol Spence and Sean Porter, they're going to be unifying in September, so that's going to be another one to look forward to. All right. Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman. If you go back, also go back, listen to my prediction video. I said that I talked about how Keith Thurman said he wanted to stand there and trade with Manny Pacquiao. He wants to stand there and trade punches with Manny Pacquiao. I said in my previous video that would not be a good idea for Keith Thurman. I said in that previous video that if he tried to stand there in the pocket, he's going to find out very quick how fast Manny Pacquiao can let his hands go, punches and bunches. And once that happened, I said Keith Thurman would then go back to being the old Keith, which is sticking and moving. And that's exactly what Keith tried to do when he seen how fast Manny Pacquiao was able to get his shots off when he tried to stand in the pocket. Manny Pacquiao was throwing 4, 5, 6 punches at a time. And it got to the point where Keith had to, he had to throw a couple and then try to elude the punches from Manny Pacquiao. And it was one point in the fight I didn't understand it. When Keith Thurman tried to escape from Manny Pacquiao's attack, he pulled his mouthpiece out of his mouth. Like, I don't know what that was about. That was just weird. I don't know if he was looking for some type of foul call, but I mean, I don't know. It was just, he was just running from Manny Pacquiao, not literally running, but trying to escape the attack of Manny Pacquiao, and he pulls his mouthpiece out of his mouth. I don't know what that's about. I want to go back and watch the fight again and see if I can see something that I didn't see, while watching it live. But I said that if he tried to trade with Manny Pacquiao, he was going to have to go back to being the stick and mover that he is, because Manny Pacquiao, his hand speed, his foot speed, and the way he throws punches from awkward angles. He throws punches from all different kind of angles, and he just made it a tough night for Keith Thurman. If Keith Thurman would have been a defensive first fighter last night, I think he would have had a completely he would have had a better chance of winning this fight. But he was offense first instead of being that defensive minded fighter. Last night, Keith was offense first, and he was constantly taking big risks. He was trying to land those big punches, and when he was taking those risks, he was leaving himself open to 3-4 punch combinations, and his face was evident of that. He was just leaving himself open because he was taking risk. If he would have, Floyd Mayweather, he basically approached the fight with a defensive mind, and he counterpunched Manny Pacquiao for 12 rounds. Catch and shoot, shoulder roll, shoot. And it was counterpunching, let Manny Pacquiao be the aggressor and then counterpunch. But, last night, Keith, like I said, he tried to stand in the pocket. That didn't work for him. So he tried to stick and move. But when he would move around, he would still try to initiate the contact first instead of letting Manny come to him and then trying to counterpunch Manny. And like I said, just taking those big shots, he was leaving himself open. And Pacquiao was just able to, with his speed and, his punches from all different angles, he was just able to tag Keith Thurman at will. If you go back and you look at the Adrien Broner fight, a lot of people, they were upset with the way Broner fought Pacquiao. They said Broner didn't let his hands go. Broner had the right approach. He just didn't counterpunch enough. Broner, if you watch the fight, he was in a defensive mindset. And then it got to the point where he was more like a survival. He went into like a survival mode where he eluded Manny Pacquiao's punches. He didn't stand there and try to trade with Manny Pacquiao. However, he didn't counterpunch enough. When Manny Pacquiao would throw his shots, Adrien Broner did not counterpunch. Therefore, he wasn't able to land anything. He wasn't able to score points. So he lost the decision, and it looks like all he did all night long was, just play defense and didn't shoot out any offense. And that was evident of Adrien Broner's face. Look at Adrien Broner's face at the end of the fight. He didn't have a single scratch on him. Keith Thurman, on the other hand, he tried to be offensive first. He left himself open. And, yeah, he got some pot knots put on his head, like I said he would. So, it was a great fight. Keith Thurman, he came on strong in the second half of the fight. I think there were times where Manny Pacquiao, he kind of slowed down. He could sense himself getting tired, but he knew he was up on the scorecards. He got a first round knockdown. So, of course, he knew he was ahead on the scorecard. So, I think it was a point where he kind of slowed up and felt like, he could take off a few rounds to try to save some win for the championship rounds of the fight. And Keith Thurman, he kind of stepped it up in maybe like the 6th, 7th, like the 7th, 8th, and the 9th round, maybe. But it just wasn't enough. He was already behind. And like I said, I see that fight, it should have been a unanimous decision. 2 judges scored for Pacquiao. One judge scored it 114 to 113, Keith Thurman. I don't agree. However, that's not a ridiculous point total, so that's not something that you can really complain about. Manny Pacquiao got the W. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Manny Pacquiao does next. A lot of people want to see him unify with Errol Spence. Errol Spence first has to get past Shawn Porter. I keep telling people, stop looking past Shawn Porter. That's not going to be a walk in the park for Errol Spence. But anyways, everybody wants to see Manny Pacquiao unify with Errol Spence, or the winner between Spence and Porter. However, I do know that Manny Pacquiao is still chasing that Floyd Money Mayweather fight. Still chasing it. I was watching CJ, Goodfellas Sports TV, earlier today, and I heard him say, shout out to him, make sure you follow, Goodfellas Sports TV. I heard him say that, he had got some news behind the scenes that PBC used Adrien Broner and Keith Thurman as a sacrifice. PBC gave Adrien Broner and Keith Thurman to Pacquiao in order to rebuild the hype and rebuild the momentum of Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. And CJ from Goodfellas Sports TV says that he really believes that fight is coming in 2020. Me personally, I don't see it happen. I don't think Floyd's coming back. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. If he comes back, fights Pacquiao, I'd support it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I'd buy it. I'm definitely going to tune in and watch. But I don't think that fight's going to happen. I think Floyd he's content with being, a very wealthy man. He's retired. He's enjoying his life. So what's next for Manny Pacquiao? I think he has 1, maybe 2 fights left. He always said he wants to bring a fight back to his home country in the Philippines. So, I see Pacquiao having 1 or 2 fights left. If he doesn't get Mayweather, he may go ahead and ride out in the sunset and have his next fight in the Philippines and call it good. Who knows? As far as Keith Thurman, man. Where does Keith go from here? I mean, at the end of the day, you can talk a big game, but eventually you're going to have to stand on your word. You're going to have to make good on your word. And he did a lot of down talking about Jeff Horn. Who is Jeff Horn? He robbed Manny Pacquiao. He didn't do nothing against Jeff Horn. Well, you know what? When Jeff Horn fought Manny Pacquiao, he had Manny Pacquiao hurt. Look at Manny Pacquiao's face after the Jeff Horn fight. Look at Manny Pacquiao's face after the Keith Thurman fight. So you can try to argue all you want that Manny Pacquiao was robbed of that fight, but Jeff Horn did something that Keith Thurman could not do. Jeff Horn made the fight difficult for Manny Pacquiao. He roughed Manny Pacquiao up. He backed him up. And, he laid hands on the boy. Something that Keith Thurman could not do. Keith Thurman downplayed Jeff Horn so bad as if he was nothing. And because of that, he tried to discredit Terrence Crawford. Beating Jeff Horn? Who has Terrence Crawford beat? He beat Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn's nobody. So now, Keith Thurman, he really has to eat these words. You know what I'm saying? Now how do you feel about Terrence Crawford's win over Jeff Horn? I wonder how you rate that win now. Now that you've suffered this loss to Manny Pacquiao. Bro, you got busted up. You was busted and disgusted. So it's going to be interesting to see what Keith Thurman does next, man. But he did a whole lot of talking that he did not back up. You have to look at what the things he was saying about Adrien Broner. He kept saying, I'm not Adrien Broner. Pacquiao's not going to be able to do nothing to me. Adrien Broner didn't do this. Adrien Broner didn't do that. But if you ask me, Adrien Broner had a better performance against Manny Pacquiao than Keith Thurman. Just go back and compare the 2 fights. And I want to talk about Keith Thurman's focus. I don't believe he was really focused and prepared himself for this moment, the biggest fight of his career. And Adrien Broner did an interview with FightHype.com. He said Keith Thurman was in the casino with him gambling in the wee hours of the night. Thursday and Friday night, 2 nights in a row, Keith Thurman is in the casino gambling. Where is your focus? Peep this. Thursday night, you're gambling to the wee hours of the night, over into the morning. And guess what you got to do on Friday? You got to get up and go make weight. Why are you gambling? That's what, So then Friday night, you're back gambling again Friday night. And Adrien Broner said Keith Thurman was in there Friday night until like 3 in the morning. So that's Saturday morning. You're in there, you go in there Friday night and you're in there until 3 a.m. in the morning on Saturday, and you have a fight Saturday. But you're gambling. You're in the casinos gambling. Where's your focus? And then the other thing that really caught my attention is on the last undercard, Yordenis Ugas and Omar Figueroa Jr. In between rounds of their fights, they would show Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman back in their locker rooms, getting prepared for the fight. I've never seen this before. What was going on in Keith Thurman's locker room, I've never seen this before. I understand this is your wife. This is her first time seeing you fight. But where was your focus? Usually, when they show a fighter in the locker room waiting to come out to fight, that fighter is in this locker room. He's either just sitting there watching the undercard fight, or he's shadow boxing. He's stretching. He may be hitting the mitts with his trainer. Something that's getting his mind right for the fight. And I can't speak for Keith or anyone else on what they like to do to get their mind mentally prepared for whatever job it is that they need to perform. But what I have never seen before is Keith Thurman, instead of us seeing him shadow boxing, hitting the mitts with his trainer, sitting there quietly meditating, music, headphones on with the music. Instead of those things, I see Keith Thurman standing there hugging his wife, looking deeply into her eyes like they're about to make passionate love. They're kissing. Looks like they're slow dancing. Like, bro, what are you doing? Again, I can't speak for anyone on how they get mentally prepared to perform their jobs, but I have never seen that in any other fighter's locker room right before it's time for them to walk out for the biggest fight of their life, let alone any fight, period. If the spouse or the girlfriend or anything like that is in the locker room, they're sitting down and they're not saying anything while their partner, the fighter, is preparing. He's getting himself ready. Like, Keith Thurman looked like he was ready to make a romantic scene. Like, bro, what are you doing? Where's your focus? So, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. I hope Keith doesn't retire. I hope Keith doesn't let this get him down. At the end of the day, I still think he's a great fighter. I still think he's one of the best welterweights in the in the sport of boxing. So I'm going to love to see what he does next. But again, man, like, when you talk a big game, man, at some point you got to back it up. At some point you got to answer to the things that you were saying. You talk about crucifying Pacquiao. You're comparing him and to Jesus and speaking on this man's religion. So, but yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. But until then, we got Errol Spence, Sean Porter set to clash September 8th, Staples Center. Can't wait for that one. I'm gonna support that one. I'm not complaining about the pay-per-view. To me, that's a pay-per-view worthy fight. So I'm definitely gonna buy it. But anyways, that's all I got for now. Sincerely yours, King, and I'm gone. So I haven't been on YouTube much lately. I originally created this channel for music. I was once an aspiring artist, but through life's twists and turns, pursuing music is no longer a dream of mine. However, I will still upload new music every now and then. I am working on a new album. It's called In Case You Forgot. But constantly putting out new music is a thing of the past for me now. On this channel, I will be focusing mostly on boxing talk. So if you are a fan of music, hip-hop in particular, or if you're a boxing fan, please tap in. When I say tap in, I mean hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can get all the notifications for all new videos that I drop on the channel. And last but not least, I want to shout out the channels that inspired me to start giving my thoughts and views on what's going on in the boxing world and reporting some of the breaking news of what's going on in the boxing world. So shout out to those guys: Dante's Boxing Nation, Boxing Ego, Blue Blood Sports TV, Goodfellas Sports TV, Famous Athletics, and Gym Boxing. Salute. There's a lot of other channels that I watch and get my boxing knowledge from, but these are the guys that I literally watch and listen to every single day. So be sure to subscribe to all those guys as well. They put out great content every day. And like I said, man, just tap in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and I'm out.